I'm Vanshika Goenka, the founder and CEO of Cool Kanya, and today we have with us Anupama Chopra, who is an Indian author, journalist, film critic. She's also the founder and editor of the digital platform Film Companion, which offers a curated look at cinema. So, without further ado, I'm going to dive in. Anupama, super excited to have you here. We're going to be diving into your journey and how you've built a content empire. So, welcome.
First of all, thank you. I wish I had built a content empire. First of all, can I apologize? I had no idea that I would be doing this out of a car. I'd hoped to look professional and have proper lighting and do this the right way. But as it turns out, I was traveling and my flight got late, and so here I am. Forgive me.
It's totally okay. We're so happy to have you and just, hear from you.
Thank you so much.
So, Anupama, you started building Film Companion in 2014 when people were not familiar with the term content marketing or content creation. What inspired you to start, and how was your journey since then?
Truthfully, it's not like I was really familiar with the with the with content creation or content marketing. For me, Film Companion is a journalistic enterprise. I'm a journalist. I have been a journalist for now almost 30 years, a film journalist specifically. I've been a film critic for about a little less than 30 years. So for me, the whole idea was to create a great space for entertainment journalism. A space that's not necessarily um, led by advertorial, which means when you read something, when you read praise of a film, it's genuine. It's not bought by the marketing company of that film. Uh, so it was really actually my husband's idea. He said, film reviews um, should not be appointment viewing, which is what I did. I did a show on Star called The Front Row, and that came every Friday at 8:30, and that was it. If you had to listen to my review, it had to be Friday at 8:30, and uh, he said, but that increasingly in a digital world, that doesn't make sense. Reviews should be available when somebody is going to a movie and says, well, what did she say about it? And he said, just do your own thing and go digital. And let me tell you, I knew nothing about doing my own thing all my life. I've worked for legacy media companies. So when you say created an empire, I feel like the worker ant. I have not in these 7.5 years
But
felt one moment of like, oh, created an empire. I am that, oh, I'm really the worker ant. Someday, hopefully, I will be a queen bee, but abhi nahi.
no, I've seen your Instagram page, I've seen your reels. It doesn't look like that or feel like that at all.
Thank
I'm
you. Thank you. But I'll tell you, it's been really exhilarating because obviously I am not the generation that grew up with social media or with
Yeah.
digital. And it's such a learning curve. So all the things I knew and learned from my career in television, first at NDTV and then at Star, you almost have to unlearn them because the formality of television doesn't work
Mhm.
on the net. The net is all about being you and being um, informal, and which is why it's also Film Companion, because I want to be that companion that if you went to see a movie and didn't have anyone to chat with me because I love talking about the movies.
Yeah.
So it was a really, and it still is. I mean, I'm still learning every single day. I am also becoming every day more aware of how much I don't know and how much I will never know. So it's very exciting because it's such a alive medium.
It is really is, yeah.
Yeah.
And Anupama, tell me one thing. Like, are there any tips? Because, like you said, you were not born in the digital era. Like, are there
Yeah.
any tips for someone who's trying to start this? How should they approach it?
First of all, I would suggest that have a plan, which I didn't. We just started to produce videos for YouTube because that's what we knew how to do. We were a production company, and for us that came naturally, and so we started to do it. But we had no idea how to market these, how to seed these. What SEO meant, what
Yeah.
tagging meant. और ऐसे थोड़ी होता है यार, like कुछ तो plan होना चाहिए. So you'll save yourself time if you have some sort of a larger vision and maybe a business plan, maybe a content plan.
Plan, yeah.
And after that, it has to be I think it has to come from a place of passion, because it is consuming in a way that television never was, because the internet is always on. Um,
Yeah.
you don't get you. It's not that, oh, it's Sunday and therefore if something happens I'm not going to post about it, or I can't. You don't get that, right? So unless you really really love it, and unless you are really committed, because the thing about the net, the thing about YouTube, the thing about being a content creator is consistency.
Yeah.
So you can't want to do it today and 3 weeks later say, यार ये तो कुछ बहुत काम है, बहुत काम है. You know, I mean, and
Yeah.
it doesn't go away. There's not a moment, I mean, look at Lily Singh, who's, one of the great sort of
Latest
iconic
content. Yeah.
content creators, right? And even she talks about how at one point she actually had to give herself time off because she burnt out putting out 3 videos a week. So it's
Yeah.
very tough. So listen, now I've reached, but can we just continue here, because then
Let's
I'll have to
just
get up.
continue. Let's
Yeah.
continue. I think
Okay.
this is
So
perfect to end on.
don't mind the disco lights and all this.
No, let's continue. I think this is great.
Okay.
Anupama, another question, just following what you said, right? I think one thing that, I love about your videos and the Film Companion is that you bring out such a human side of your interviewee. And not a lot of people manage to do that. So, do you have any advice on how one can do that? How new podcast creators or content creators can really do that?
You have to, I think, come to it from a place of genuine curiosity. I don't think, uh, when I go into an interview, I love the movies, right? So all my work is sort of driven by that passion. And I love movies. I love people who make movies. I love people who create, who are artists, who work in entertainment and showbiz. So I'm coming to it from a place of great love, and I'm coming to it from a place of great curiosity. I'm genuinely interested in knowing, uh, and there's no snobbery about this. I genuinely, when I speak to Rohit Shetty, I'm not going in there with a view that, oh, but you make commercial cinema. I want to know how you do it. How do you appeal to, millions and millions of people around the globe? So I think if you are uh, uh, coming into this, do your research, because that's critical. I think there's nothing more off-putting for a guest than you not knowing what their filmography is, or what they've done, or what they stand for. I think it's very important that you put in that work, do your research, and then, um, you know, listen.
Yeah.
You're there to listen. You're not there to look smart. You're not there to. This is not about you. It's about
Yeah.
the person in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to remember.
And I completely agree with you. So I think what you said is that no judgment and really listening. But
Absolutely.
Anupama, so many times you interview the same person, right? I
Yeah.
think, you how do you make sure, you bring a different side of that person each time?
It,
Huh.
it is genuinely the deep dive. You just, for example, I interviewed Alia for Gangubai, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and obviously, I've interviewed Alia for Pata nahi kab se, from Student of the Year, which was
Yeah.
10 years ago. But her experience on Gangubai is so specific, and it's such an evolution in her career in terms of her craft, that's the lens then you go into it with, right? So I think it comes from really really kind of putting in the work to look people up, study their social media, what is the persona they're creating. There's so many aspects now to actors and entertainment people.
So I think research, because there's always
Bilkul.
a different
There
side to
is, there
another
is.
person.
And people evolve. It's not that it's the same Alia today who I interviewed for Student of the Year, right?
Yeah.
So you have to like little bit be mindful of that evolution. And I think it's also important you yourself have to remain a student. So I'm constantly reading other critics. I'm constantly trying to watch people who do this brilliantly, like, the Hollywood Reporter roundtables, Graham Norton, all these people who are really good at the conversation. And you keep studying and you keep learning.
Got it. That makes so much sense. And we have one question, Anupama, from the audience, from Savendra, which who says, "How do you speak so well? What steps do you recommend for others to speak so well?"
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. I'm an English lit major, I guess it maybe started there. And I had the most fantastic teacher. I went to St. Xavier's College in Mumbai for my undergrad, and I had a teacher named Eunice D'Souza, who's a great poet, and she passed away a couple of years ago. And she really instilled in us a love of words. You know,
Mm,
just the beauty of words and how words and I mean, I don't claim to in any way be creating great sort of artistic work in my writing, but I try to just keep practicing and learning. I also try. It doesn't happen, but I want to, in my ideal world, um, write about 500 words a day,
that's
because it's very important. You have to. Um, Bharadwaj Jangan, who's my colleague at Film Companion, actually told me this, because at one point I really felt like I've completely lost it. I don't know how to talk anymore. I don't know how to write anymore. You've done this so long,
long,
um,
yeah.
and I end up repeating the same words in my reviews. And he said, "Well, it's a muscle. You have to do it every day." And I like, in the pandemic, I actually wrote a book called A Place in My Heart, which was published by Penguin recently in January, uh, because I felt like it's so important to get that writing muscle back. So I think you have to do that.
So practice and always be a learner. I think
Yeah.
that's something. Another question that we have is, while building a content empire, what should be the main focus? Sharing what you know, or sharing what your audience wants to know?
Oh, that's a good question. And again, I giggle because the empire is so not an empire. but I think um, it has to be a mix of both, right? So when I started, we didn't even really know how to look at data, right? We didn't know that, uh, and YouTube gives you that. It tells you where people stopped watching and how many people stop watching. Recently it started telling you where your audience is in terms of states. So there's a lot of data that you have, but I think you can't let the data dictate completely how you do it. For me, it made no sense to, like, everyone said, "Oh, people on the internet don't have an attention span. You should do
Yeah,
2 minute reviews, make it a real review, put it under 1 minute." My review of Gangubai is 6 minutes plus,
yeah.
because that's when I felt I had said everything I want to say about this film. And it's got over a lakh views in less than 24 hours. So I don't believe that all these ideas we have, that now everybody's got attention deficit disorder, nobody's there to listen. I think people want quality. It takes longer, it takes much longer. It's easier to build something with quick fixes, but I'm very proud that the growth of Film Companion has been organic. We've never had money to market, we've never had money to push out videos. So it is people who genuinely love your content who are there, and that's fantastic. So I think you have to just uh, you know be mindful. Look at all your comments, look at your unless they're trolling you, then don't look.
Yeah.
But that happens a lot. uh,
Yeah.
but don't let the data dictate. Make it your own. It has to be what you feel is correct.
Got it. And another question that Akshay has for you is, what qualities do you learn when you interview actors?
So much, so much. It's like life lessons, genuinely. And that's why I'm not bored, because uh, look, they're living lives uh, that are in a sense extreme, right? They get to play different people every day. um, if you're famous and big, then you're just massive. And if you're not, you're not. Your failure is public, your humiliation is public. It takes a very special kind of person to withstand that those pressures. And I feel like when I speak to them, I'm constantly learning. Just for me, it's fascinating how actors just keep the faith. It'll take them 7 years to get that one role that'll be that breakthrough role that suddenly, and then everyone says, oh, you're an overnight success. No, you aren't. You look at Jaideep Ahlawat in Patal Lok, and everyone's like, oh my God, what an actor. He was an actor in Gangs of Wasipur, which was
Yeah.
pata nahi, 10 years or 9 years ago. And that man just kept doing it. Pratik Gandhi, oh my God, overnight success. No, he's been doing theater for decades.
Yeah.
So that persistence, that level of faith in your art, in your craft, that you will do it and continue to do it, I think is remarkable. And that's what I take away from them.
That's that's actually so true. Persistence,
Yeah,
and you're not.
yeah.
No one is an overnight success.
No
You don't even see
one.
that
There's no such
hard
thing.
work.
There's no such thing. And directors, it's so hard to make movies. It's so tough. And then they just have this vision in their head that they have to put on a screen. It's
Yeah,
remarkable. Composers, how do you compose music? How do you create something out of nothing?
nothing. Yeah.
It's just, to me, it's endlessly fascinating.
And I think that comes across. That's why I think your videos are so special and so human. Um, Anupama, another question, right? How do you sustainably and consistently create content, right? There is a burnout. You have to keep churning out
Yeah,
content, like you said.
yeah.
How do you do that? How do you plan for that?
You know, it has been hard, especially the last 2 years, because all our work is around content. It's around movies or it's around shows. And when there are no movies in theaters, when there isn't anything to talk about, how do you still keep talking?
Yeah,
you know,
that's so true.
so that's been a struggle. But what I did was literally find other ways in. So I started to recommend non-Hindi movies. For the first 4 months of the
Yeah.
pandemic, I think I was recommending a film a day on Instagram, and just saying that, guys, we're all at home now. Those of us who are privileged enough to have streaming services, there's great cinema, great shows on there. Let me lead you to that. So you just keep finding new ways into it. You have to, because if you're not actively creating, you can't create one piece of content in a month. That's not going anywhere.
Well, yeah, that doesn't got it. So you have to keep being creative and
Yeah,
innovative.
yeah.
Um, so you spoke about the pandemic, right? So what kind of stories did you see that really came out during the pandemic and that became widespread? What did you see as a change?
For me, the big change is the falling of walls between film industries and India. I think it's the first time that sort of everyone is watching Malayalam films. People are discovering great movies from, uh, you know, uh, Telugu cinema or Tamil or Bengali or Marathi. And those barriers that, oh, this is Bollywood and this is Mollywood and there's something Collywood,
It doesn't
I see
matter.
it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
because like Bong Joon-ho said, you get over the 2 inch or whatever, 1.5 in subtitles, then you discover a world of content. And yes, it was very hard. I'm not saying that because I'm a film critic. I was watching Malayalam films 4 years ago. I wasn't. It was too hard. For me to go to a theater, make that time. But when it's in my house, when I can see it at my own convenience, I've just discovered such excellent storytelling. And for me, that's the big change, that we've suddenly understood that Hindi cinema is not the be all and end all.
You know.
Indian cinema is a multifaceted and amazing thing, and we should all watch movies from everywhere.
That's so interesting. And I think going off of that, Anupama, what content did you see do really well on the Film Companion during the pandemic?
Again, it was more content about the South. I think the four
Mm,
South industries have actually been very, very sort of dynamic. They got back on their feet. You had Telugu films releasing. You had blockbusters like Jati Ratnalu in Telugu or Master in Tamil. So they seem to kind of bounce back quicker, and their stories were much, much more evolved and much better than what we were doing. And I
mm,
think that is the main sort of difference that I saw. And the success of a film like Pushpa, which was dubbed in Hindi, really is a testament to that, of how much um, audience tastes have evolved.
That's so interesting. And I think I'm going to end. We have just a couple of minutes, and I want to dive into this one question, which is what are the tips, the three tips that you would give to a creator when creating content?
So consistency is key. Have to do that. And this, and I would say do something that comes naturally. People said, oh, but the net is obviously the demographic you're talking to are much younger people. So can you try and do X, or can you
Yeah.
maybe gamify your interviews, play a game with the actors? That doesn't come naturally to me, right?
Mm.
uh, um, I can't play games. I feel stupid. So it would, that it would come across. I would look fake. I would just look dumb, and nobody would watch. Uh, so I think it's very important to be true to who you are,
Wow. Yeah.
and you'll find your people. You'll find your tribe. But if you try and fake something that you're actually not, and you're deeply uncomfortable doing it, I think it's easy to tell.
That's so, I love it. Like you basically said, be consistent and be true to yourself. Whoever
Yeah.
you are, don't go with the trends. Be true to
Yeah.
who you are.
You can't because the trends, like, listen, there's something new trending on Twitter every 3 hours. So how much are you going to change according to what's trending? You can't. And I just think if you stay true, you're consistent, and come from a place of love. Because if you don't love it, don't have the right reasons to do it. You you can't become an actor to be rich and famous. That's stupid, right? If you come into it because you want to be a great actor and you become rich and famous, damn good. But you can't. Your reasons, your intention has to be right. So your intention to become a content creator has to be that I've got something great to say and I want to share it with the world. It can't be, oh, but I'll become an influencer and then I'll get free shit. I don't know, it can't be that stuff.
Yeah, you have to be true to, and you have to be passionate, truly
Yeah,
passionate about what you want to do. I think,
absolutely.
Anupama, this was wonderful. And I know you have a hard stop at 7, so I'm not going to ask you more questions. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
Even
you.
though you
And
were
once
late.
again, apologies for the surroundings.
No, I think what you've shared with us is golden. So this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Lovely to see all of you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.